What was the process like for you guys once Texas and Oklahoma left to getting into the Big 12 from your perspective? How did that go?
We had gone in 2016. We had done the quote-unquote dog and pony show down in Dallas, and we thought we did a really good job. We felt that we had given them a lot of numbers and research and a lot of analytics that when we walked out of there, we said, we got this. Because the numbers were really impressive back then. And then they just made a decision that they weren't going to expand. So we, instead of like putting our tail between our legs and walking off, we had learned a lot during that period of time about ourselves that we didn't know. That we didn't even know, let alone we're going to explain that to the Big 12. So we just from that day said, we just got stronger through going through this experience and exercise. Now, let's put it to good use. Let's keep building on that. So when this came around, Bob Bowlesby called me. I was in Las Vegas getting ready for a neutral game with University of Arizona and said, you want in? And I'm like, yes. And it was really a matter of moments before it was over and we were in the conference. And so it went rather fast at the end, but it was a process of really a number of years.
So the groundwork was laid basically in 2016 for you guys to get into the league. What are those things that you said you learned a lot about yourself through that process in 2016? What are the things that you really learned that you guys have to offer to a conference like the Big 12?
Well, when you're going for an audition in front of the commissioner and their legal counsel and the number of people that they had there, the important things were you realize that they're going to be going to their media consultants and they're going to be asking, what do we need to look for in a team, how we want to add to the conference? And those things are like TV numbers, where our living alumni are, how many they are, what the TV numbers are in different markets. So some of the things that we had some great access to numbers through some consultants that when BYU is on TV up against teams in the Big 12, that our numbers did really well. This is back in 2016. And I don't think the Big 12 knew that those numbers were so high going head-to-head against Big 12 teams. And I'm not saying in the game against the Big 12, we're on TV against someone else outside going head-to-head against a Big 12 team. And so those were some. The others were just the amount of time we spent going out to our donors and sponsors and just asking them what their impressions were and how they would promote BYU. And it wasn't really like what we thought. So in that period of time from 2016 till last year when we got invited, I think what we call Cougar Nation, really everybody, students, alumni, fans, season ticket holders, curious people that follow the team, we feel that we got stronger. Our numbers went up dramatically. Donations went up, sponsorships went up. When we went on the road, whether we were playing a football game, a basketball game, a soccer game, a baseball game, we were bringing more people to the stands than the teams that we were playing. Not football and basketball, but in the Olympic sports. And in this kind of snowball started when we went down there to interview, audition for the Big 12.
There's been some discussion online recently about how much you guys may have added to that TV deal that, of course, the Big 12 signed. How much insight do you have into that? How much you monetarily are able to add?
I've read that, and it didn't come from me, and I think it's neither here nor there. Because one of the things that I tell my people, I don't tell my fans, but I tell my people inside, and I told Commissioner Bowlesby, our only desire is to be a great partner in the Big 12. We're going to come in and we're going to contribute, we're going to give, we're going to be collaborative. We're not going to try to stand out or try to be different. We're going to be different anyway just because of the nature of our school. But we will fit in and we'll do things that will benefit the league. And so talking about this, I don't think it's important. I think that the number is the number, what it is as a whole, and everybody in the league likes that number. So do I. So what we contributed to, they don't delineate that with any other school, so I don't think that's important.
Well, you bring it up. Everybody likes that number. what are you guys going to be able to do now that you weren't able to before with the injection of the money that you'll make in the Big 12?
Well, I know certainly there's more money that comes as a member of a P5 than a group of 5, and we've spent some of that money already in anticipation of preparation for getting ready to play a super competitive schedule in every sport. So, I mean, you're going to be able to do more with it, but like my president 2 presidents ago, during the time when we were looking, this is before 16, he gave me great advice. To Tom, if you're looking to get into a P5, if money's the number one reason, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And I think that was good advice, because money's going to be important. You can do more with it. We all need the capital. We all need to watch our budgets and cap those expenses. But there's so many other things that make and build your brand other than money. And yeah, granted that you need to spend money to make money. I think there's some real key principles, like the people that you have, the feelings that they have about their work, the recruits that come to school, and it's not about how much NIL they're getting, it's about their experience that they have in their academic major as an athlete, how they're growing and developing as individuals, do they have great mental health, and on and on and on. Those things trump the money. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to count the dollars every week.
Yeah.
But those things count. And I think that our focus on that is really what's going to help us.
This may be a kind of a basic question, I guess, but how different is life now that you don't have to worry about putting together an entire football schedule every single year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I really kind of enjoyed it. It was a challenge, and it was really one of the things that by going independent, we felt that we could get more exposure as a football team and build the brand. And so as year after year passed, it became more challenging, but it also became almost more invigorating to be able to find just the right game. And so there's a guy named Dave Brown that used to work for ESPN and has a company called Gridiron, and he's a scheduling guru. There's no one in the country that understands scheduling better than him. And you can ask any AD and they know who he is. And we became super close because that was his business, was trying to get games for other people, and I had them.
Yeah.
We had inventory.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, it was a super incredible experience, and we got to play in venues that we never would have gone to. We went to big time, and we played in some small venues that a group of 5 teams don't play in. P5 teams would never consider, and they ended up being really good experiences.
What are your expectations for football and Kalani taking the team into a new conference this year in year 1?
My expectations are that we compete hard. People are going to try to get me to put a number of wins on it. It's not my style. It's never been my style. I think that Kalani and I agree on this. One thing for sure is that the process is more important than the result. And a lot of people don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But I'm totally convinced that if you have a great process, you will win games. But you don't need to talk about that with everybody and try to put something on. Now you get right to the end, and instead of, I predicted we'd win 7 games, you win 6, it's a disaster. That's not right. I've seen enough football. I've been in this business my entire life, or the game my entire life, the business for a greater part of it. The process is what develops these kids. It's college. It's still college. Yeah. Amidst NIL and the transfer portal and all these things, it seems like it's professional, but it's still college. And even though it's not the amateur athletic union anymore, we have a responsibility to our student athletes to build and develop them the way we want and the way they expect. And it can't just be about just what they want, because there's certain things that we provide that they don't really want.
Right.
Through the experience and exposure of college and being a student, you grow and you learn those things. It's still college. We need those things. Those are important to us.
What has it been like working with Brett Yormark since you came in, as he's been the guy, obviously, as the AD now?
Terrific. I think he's a bundle of energy. He has incredible passion for an industry that he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
Now, look, he's been in sports, so he's a quick learn. But going from professional sports on the business side to the commissioner of a Big 12 athletic conference in college athletics, that's night and day difference.
Yeah.
You could wiggle it around to say it's athletics, but it's way different. I'm super impressed by how quickly he's adapted and has been able to grow an incredible room. Well, I'm talking about the ADs, presidents, SWAs, and faculty athletic reps that trust each other and believe in each other, that can make things happen. He has a lot of ideas, but they don't happen if we don't vote it in. And he's very persuasive and very, very influential.
I know you guys sure get asked about this all the time, but expansion-wise, where do you feel like things sit right now, and how good do you feel about the possibility of that in the future?
I've followed it from day one. You have to understand, we've been on the other side of this number or issue for decades. So I know how those schools feel that are, their names are mentioned, even if it's a P5 or a G5. I know exactly how they feel. So I don't think it's kosher to talk about it publicly about individual teams. But I will say that in our conference, we talk about it. It's super important. Your membership and how the strength that you have, that's important for all of us. So I feel we're well versed in where we are. It changes from day to day, hour to hour, and everything that you've read, I've read. Plus, I've gotten a little few backroom, pieces of information that you don't have.
Sure.
But it's still confusing. It's confusing for everybody. No one really knows where it stands or where it's going to end. But we're getting close to the point where either there's going to be some moves or there's not. Because you can't go through a season of football or whatever sports we're starting this fall of having that be up in the air.
Right.
And so there's a window that will open and close. It's been open for a while, and it's going to close pretty soon. I don't know when that is, but it'll be before the fall.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's been a pretty wild situation as far as that goes. And the Pac-12 has been a part of this, right? And I think the media has portrayed the Pac-12 and the Big 12 as having this adversarial relationship. I'm curious, from the inside, what is it really like?
I mean, it's interesting now that we're in the Big 12 to be able to say how that would feel. And I understand what you're talking about. I grew up in L.A. My older brother played football at UCLA. I grew up and coached at Stanford and Cal. So I know the Pac-10. Well, I said Pac-10. I know the Pac-8, Pac-10, and Pac-12 like the back of my hands. And I'm looking at this I'm not, I feel and understand, they're in a difficult situation. I don't wish them harm. I hope that, it works out for everybody the way that they want it to work out. But that includes us. And, there may be some teams and schools that feel like it didn't quite go the way they wanted it to go. And that's going to happen for some for sure, because you can't accommodate everybody. But I feel like Commissioner Yormark said it today. We are in business and we have focus. But after this term, we'll re-examine what happened in this past term, and then we'll plot our future plans for the future. And I trust it. I believe in the guys in the room. And it's our responsibility to take care of the best interests of the Big 12.
Yeah. Well, last thing I'll ask you, because I know you guys are a piece of this, but the Big 12 going to Mexico, what kind of potential do you think there is in Mexico for both BYU and the Big 12?
I love it. I think when Commissioner Yormark said Mexico, I jumped up and said, I'm in. I cut to the front of the line. A lot of people were like, whoa, what, Mexico? BYU has a national following from our school. It's a national university. We take students from every state and most countries, but we have a strong hold in Mexico. And there's communities down there that have been around, that have been members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 100 years plus. And so we also, it's one of the priorities and principles that he announced today was we want to be not necessarily international, but focused on expanding our horizons. And being Mexico so close to the Big 12 schools, for us, we have missionaries all around the world, but a lot in Mexico. If we played a game in Mexico right now, I don't think we'd have to bring people from Utah. I think they'd come from Mexico. So we're in. And I'll if whether we're playing conference teams or non-conference teams, whether it's a bowl game or a basketball game or soccer or baseball, we're in.
I like it. Tom, thank you so much for giving me some of your time,
John.
and
Appreciate
enjoy the rest of your media day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate that a lot.
So how's Gene treating you? Gene,